Marcus Kitching Howe. In Malta, on the 26th of March last year, Marcus Kitching Howe had done 2 morning dives in calm seas, but the weather was expected to turn. The wind and waves were forecast to increase, and so diving procedures were kept sharp until the conditions became unsafe. When Marcus exited the water from the second dive, the conditions were rough but still safe. He was aware that many divers were still in the sea, and so he kept his dry suit and mask on and set up a rope from the handrail to aid other divers getting out. He took the rope out into the sea about 10 meters with a float and an anchor, and he stayed with the line and told divers to use it to pull themselves out. By now the waves were increasing and one diver was washed onto the rocks. Marcus grabbed him and pulled him onto the rope. The waves were persistent, and several times he himself was knocked off his feet, trying to get divers out. After 30 minutes, the conditions became too unsafe to continue. He called off the rope assist exits and told the remaining divers to swim out to sea, away from the rocks, and to wait the Armed Forces of Malta rescue boat. He got out and went to watch from on top of the seawall and saw a diver floating on his back. He had lost a fin and his mask, although his regulator was still in his mouth. The man was not moving and was being supported by another diver. The waves kept washing over his face, and then the regulator fell out of his mouth. Still wearing his dry suit, Marcus immediately donned the mask and fins and jumped from the seawall into the sea and swam 10 meters out to the pair. He found the diver was not breathing, and so he started rescue breaths and began towing him away from the rocks, out to sea. After 2 minutes, he checked, but there was still no response. He removed the man's fin and placed it on the supporting diver's foot so he could keep the man above the waves. Together, they towed the unconscious diver towards the rescue boat, waving in distress. The sea was now treacherous, and they could see people and divers climbing aboard the rescue boat. Marcus gave 2 more rescue breaths, even though the diver had vomited. He repeatedly shouted for help, and eventually he was heard by the crew above the storm noise. As they reached the rescue boat, the final waiting diver boarded. By now they had been towing the stricken diver for 15 minutes, and they struggled to get his harness off and lift him up to the crew. Marcus stayed in the water as there were still other divers waiting for help. The crew on the boat started CPR and the rescue boat pulled away. Marcus swam over to another group of divers, and eventually a tour boat came to pick them all up. Sadly, the stricken diver did not survive. For his persistent bravery and commitment to his students that day, Marcus Kitching Howe was awarded the Society's Bronze Medal.
My name is Marcus, and I'm a recipient of the Bronze Medal for Bravery from the Royal Humane Society. And I got the medal for my actions in an incident which took place last year, involving several divers, and I was assisting them to safety out of the water and also to a rescue boat. The morning was a relatively calm dive site area. We were diving there, myself and another instructor. We were guiding around for 2 dives, and we kept a hurry on for timings because we knew the forecast was set to get worse. We exited the water after our second dive and noticed that there were still a lot of divers still in the water. With the conditions getting worse and worse, we stayed at the site. I set up a rope to assist some of the divers out, where I stayed at the end of the rope in the water, trying to get the divers to take hold of that rope in order to aid their exit. And having done this for about half an hour, the conditions got worse and worse and worse. So we called off this as an aid and told the remaining people in the water to swim out to the Armed Forces of Malta rescue boat, which was on its way. Unfortunately, there was at the same time a diver who'd got into trouble. We didn't see it happen, but was floating on his back. And I got back in the water to assist him. Unfortunately, he wasn't breathing. He had another person with him who'd been trying to help him earlier, but got washed into the water as well. And as a group of 3, we then headed out to the rescue boat, giving rescue breaths and towing the diver to the rescue boat. Very, very focused on what needed to be done. Kind of calculated as well, trying to go through different scenarios, different solutions, different actions, what would be the best thing to do at the time. So quite calm and collected, enough time to gather my thoughts and carry out what I thought was the most appropriate rescue response.
I just wanted to give him a good slap, to be honest with you. I was incredibly proud of him, but I was also quite, as a parent, quite angry, because there's always that fear of why him. And being ex-military myself, I always knew he was not going to be cut out for a military career. So to see that level of bravery in a civilian environment was just breathtaking. Literally, it's phenomenal. So I remain incredibly proud of what he's done, but still a little bit annoyed, that why you? But
Yeah.
I think everybody who's been here today having the same stories, I think all of their friends and family always say, why you? Why would you do this? Because I haven't. Most people think they would until they're faced with the opportunity of fight or flight. So, and thankfully it went the right way.
Very, very proud, as always. That was the main reaction. Yeah. And again, a little bit annoyed in a way. But having said that, as when I asked the question, well, what were you doing? Why were you doing it? I couldn't just stand there and do nothing. So,
and none of the people that he rescued were his customers. They had nothing to do with his diving company or any involvement with it. He didn't know any of them. And he got back in the water twice and saved 30 people.
wow.
And even the armed forces said without him getting in that water, it wouldn't have been one person dead. Potentially it was 30.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was a big thing. And I know he wants to kind of forget it and move on. And all we can do as family is be there, support it. But unfortunately, sometimes part of the healing is talking about it.